Hi everyone. Okay, so if this, oh my God, the Evogen blurring out. If this obviously posts to YouTube, this is going to be a new little series. I was inspired by one of my clients, and you'll get to meet her in a second, but I thought it would be really fun to begin a small little like podcasty series, having real conversations with some of my clients and being able to kind of learn a little bit about their journeys and where they are and how they've gotten to where they are now. I think they're just so inspiring to me. I feel like they're inspiring to other people. So being able to see what they have surpassed in their past, I think is just so exciting. So I would love to start out. I'd love to you to introduce yourself, who you are, how long we've been together, and then we'll kind of go through some of the questions that we have today.
Well, hello, I'm Nini. I'm one of George's clients. Started out as a lifestyle client in September of 2024. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been a little over a year and a half, and I'm now a competition client, working on being in the NPC for wellness. So, yeah, like Georgia said, it's been a very beautiful journey the past year and a half. We'll get into it, but I lost a lot of weight and now my vision is towards stepping on stage one day. So whenever she tells me I'm ready is what I tell everyone. They're always like, when are you going to compete? And I'm like, literally whenever coach says I'm ready, and I will wait as long as I need to.
Yeah, I think that's something first that's so powerful because I know you did come obviously just as a weight loss client. And I think it's so exciting to see you blossom and just your excitement in your own fitness journey as you gain your own confidence over time. So it's so cool to be seeing that you literally are looking at bodybuilding just because you've loved the process. And I think that's the opposite of a lot of people. You just were following plan as a bodybuilder, as a lifestyle client, and then you just loved it so much that you're like, oh, I might as well like one day get to stage just because I love this part. I think
Yeah.
that's so cool.
I remember that conversation with you too. I was at work and you like responded to one of my check-ins and I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell her. I'm gonna tell her. I think I want to do this. You're just like, yes.
Yeah, no, of course. So, okay, I kind of wanted to go over. I have some questions, so I'm going to be looking over here. But as of we're in a growing season now. But as of ending the reverse in the growing season, she is now 100 pounds down, which is crazy. And that's insane to be able to see since our starting, weight together. I know you've lost more from prior, but I would love to kind of start there and just like, did you ever think? Well, what's your total weight loss, I guess, and how long that journey was? And then did you ever think you would lose this much weight? Do you ever think you'd lose like 100 pounds?
No.
Yeah.
Honestly, like my whole journey started as like a health thing. Like I just wanted to feel comfortable in my body in everyday life. And so I never had like a target or a goal. I started at 265-ish pounds, more or less. Honestly, didn't want to look at the scale. I was kind of scared of it, as most people are. um, and yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and just build healthy habits. I'm gonna go on walks and think of what I'm eating, which we'll get into, I'm sure, more. But yeah, I thought, okay, let's just try and be healthy. And then shortly after just building those habits, I thought, okay, I think I've got like the drive for it, but I need guidance. Like I need someone's help to actually do this. And
Yeah.
I never knew what like a proper like didn't have a number in mind, but I knew that you would know. And so I kind of just left it all to you. I put my ego aside and just said, you know what? She's the professional. She clearly has like her own. I looked at your coaching and I was just like, well, she can make these people look good on stage. She can help me lose a couple pounds. So that's how it
100%.
started, but
Yeah. And it's different
never even had a
now,
number.
because I feel like, your goals and weight loss are now to look a certain way on stage, or like
Yeah.
objectively be able to see your muscle tissue growth in the off season. So obviously
Mm-hmm.
now we're focusing like next time we cut, it's going to be for stage, or like that kind of goal, not to be,
Mm-hmm.
actually just living life,
Just
right? Because you're
healthy.
far
Yeah.
past like being a healthy human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. So, I would love to start with the before. Like, how did you feel before? And what did it feel like, what you're feeling like there? And then what was the moment that you realized, when you wanted to do that change?
I'm from Arizona. Maybe I should have started there with my introduction. I'm from Arizona. I grew up moving around a couple of times, but um, went to school at ASU, go Devs. And in college, I was very mentally active. I was in a lot of extracurriculars. I was doing a lot of, can I cuss on this?
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of shit. I was doing a lot of shit in college, but none of it was like physical. So I didn't do any sort of sports or anything. I mean, I was in marching band, but it wasn't like I had like a sport to do. And so I think once I graduated and I moved for my full time job in Minnesota, which was a huge move, I felt very stuck because I just had my full time job and that was it. And I went from having like a major, a minor, certificates, extracurriculars, organizations, like all of these things were then stripped away. And I just had work. And I think having so much, I don't want to say isolation, but space with a lot of energy mentally that I didn't know where to focus it, I felt stuck and like unclear on what to do. So that was part one. Part two is that I felt very uncomfortable in my body and I didn't really know how to admit it to myself. For example, like going up flights of stairs was difficult. Like I'd be out of breath, or like I noticed at work when I was just walking around the office and talking to people with my backpack on, I'd get a little out of breath talking to people
Yeah.
and things like that. I was honestly like so embarrassed, especially talking to people my age. I was 22 and talking to people who were also like 23, 24, and they were yip, 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 yapping, talking, whatever. And I was just like, like just a little out of breath. And I'd get like embarrassed about it. And things like walking around or putting on a winter coat because it's cold here. And honestly, I freeze my ass off out here. Putting a backpack on top of winter coat and talk like that whole like physical weight, I started to feel more. And
Yeah.
people would invite me to things like pickleball or let's go do this after work, let's go do this. I had a social opportunity but didn't want to take it because I physically didn't feel the confidence in myself to go do those things. And I think it wasn't like a specific moment where I was like, I need to change everything. Honestly, I was very confident in myself. So even like looking at pictures of myself, I was just like, yeah, ooh, I don't look great, but like, I'm happy. Right. And I think it wasn't until like I started realizing like I'm uncomfortable with living my life and I'm now sacrificing a social life because of it. I need to do something. Like I need to at least like lose my weight. And I think with that extra energy and that extra like mental direction that I needed, I was just like, let's try and just do something healthy for your body. You're a 22-year-old. You shouldn't be struggling to go up a flight of stairs. Like, get over it and let's try and lose some weight.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever doubt it was something that you could start and that you could do? Or was it something that you didn't really project it would be like this huge thing? You thought it would just be like it's just a small adjustment, you know?
I think that's why I struggled because I did think it was just small lifestyle changes. And I think the difference between, and this is obviously like a lot of my beliefs came from social media, like seeing people and how they went about their own weight loss, they made it seem very easy. And
Hmm.
honestly, like I didn't know that I had 100 pounds to lose, and I didn't recognize that these people had like 20, 30 pounds to lose. So for me, I was like, just go on walks. That should help. And like, sure, it did help. And I like felt better about moving, but like that is very different than actually looking at food. Like, we'll probably get into this, but like food was definitely my problem and consumption was my problem. And I just thought, okay, well, if I just continue doing everything the same and just go on walks and maybe like go to the gym and lift some weights, like that should be enough. And it wasn't. And I was just, that's kind of what led me to the frustration of, okay, well, there's really not like what I'm doing is not working. I
Yeah.
need guidance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I guess that's kind of one of the questions we were talking about too, which we can get into now, is like, what was your relationship kind of with food before?
Yeah. This is a big one. I feel like this is a three-part answer.
Okay.
So, when growing up, so my mom's a chef. She's a great cook. Okay. Stepdad, sommelier. He's really into wine. My father, also very passionate in the culinary arts. So I grew up around a lot of really good food. And I I think I always took it for granted because I think in the US, like food is very accessible. And so for me, like food was just always something that was given to me. And I didn't like think of it as anything special. And when I went to college and had that break from being around family and being around like good food, if you will, and I put quotes because like I don't even think good like food should be considered good or bad. It's just like food.
Mhm.
Um, but in college, I started to shift my mentality into like, oh, well, I've never tried crumble cookie before. I've never tried Jack in the Box. Like, I deserve to try it. And that's when I started to look at food differently. And I looked at it as a form of comfort for something that I was missing on the inside. And that's like a whole other deeper thing that we don't have to get into. But I think that I used food and consumption of not just food, but of alcohol as like a form of escapism. And I just thought, well, I deserve to have fun. I'm in college. This is what college is. This is what fun is. I'm not in my parents' house. I can do whatever I can have whatever I want. But I wasn't actually enjoying the food or the consumption. I was just using it as a tool for something deeper inside of me. And it wasn't until I had a goal that was so strong to lose weight and I had that food and that privilege taken away from me where I realized how special it was. And I want to give this example because there were so many times, and you know this, when I would go back home during this weight loss journey and my mom would have her dinner. She'd light up all the candles. She'd have the flowers out. She'd be cooking for hours. She'd have friends over. And my stepdad would be walking us through this wine. And I would be sitting there just looking at all of this food, all of this stuff, and just being like, oh my God, like I can't eat this. This sucks so bad. And I had to change my mentality of this is not about the food. This is about the experience that I'm having. I haven't been back home in months. I miss my family. I miss this experience, the smell of the flowers, learning about wine, seeing my mom do what she's so passionate about. That's what's special. And I think when I had that taken away from me and when I stayed so focused on my goal and achieving it, I got to appreciate those experiences so much more.
Mhm.
And now when I go back home, it's not just, oh, I get to eat this meal with my family. It's like I get to experience this with my family. And on top of that, now I can enjoy the food in a way that's not overindulgent. It's just part of that experience.
Yeah.
And I think it's so like that is the biggest thing that I've learned through this whole weight loss journey is just it's not about the fucking food. It's
Yeah.
about everyone around it and what it represents.
Yeah, that's so powerful because I think that's something too. It's exactly like you said, when you have it removed, then you're like, oh, well, what was the whole basis of that circumstance? Like the
Mm-hmm.
getting together, like thinking Thanksgiving and Christmas and holidays and things like that. Like, why are we actually getting together? It's not about the food, it's about the
Mm-hmm.
people that we're with, it's about the circumstances.
Yeah.
So that's so powerful. And I think that's something too that I feel like a lot of people learn like the competition prep and in extreme, like, cuts and things is like when you're forced to almost remove the food aspect for external reasons,
Yeah.
then we have to force and look at like, oh, how can I be more mentally present, in this circumstance? So that's
Yeah.
so, so
Well,
awesome.
and I think too, like there's two types of people. Like I'm a very optimistic individual. Like I'm always so happy. And so when I was in those moments and feeling sad about it, I had to sit in bed after that night and think like, why were you so sad? Like what made you so sad? Because it's not a like you're with your family, you're doing all these things. Is it really the food? Why do you care so much about it? And then
Yeah.
thinking about like, okay, you could either look at this situation as, damn, this fucking sucks. I can't have pasta and linguine or whatever the hell. Like,
Yeah.
damn, this sucks. Or I could say, you know what? I can't have this right now because my goals are really strong. But you know what I can enjoy? The fact that I'm spending the week with my mom, the
Hmm.
fact that I get to see my sister or whoever, like the fact that I'm here and that like shift, I think it's so it helps you keep a positive outlook and it honestly helped me keep going rather than just quitting at the 60 pound or 70 pound mark or whenever that was when I really started to struggle.
Definitely, definitely. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something too, now, going back into that direction. Was this, our journey the first kind of like real start and push towards weight loss? Did you try prior on your own?
Yeah, I tried a few times honestly to lose weight and I never got like I would say that I fell under the yo-yo diet a few times. Like I would try and lose weight. I'd be like 180, tried to lose weight, get down to 170, then gain it back and then some. And then I just kept yo-yoing, but instead of yo-yoing like back up to a baseline, it was like and it just got to a point where I thought, okay, I should just go to like kind of how I said earlier. I think I should just go to the gym and take walk and go to walk. But it's like you're not 180 pounds trying to lose 10 anymore. You're 260 and you're trying to lose who knows how much at this point.
Yeah. And I guess that too. So when it came to asking for help, was it because you realized like nutrition was where you kind of needed help at, or what was with that?
Um, I think there, yeah. I mean, I always knew that I struggled with food. I thought like if I just ate kind of how I said earlier, like good foods, that
Yeah.
that would just be it. But I think like I didn't understand macros like that. I just thought healthy food, not healthy food. And so it was very hard because it would just be like, okay, well, I probably shouldn't have pizza, but like let me have this Cobb salad that has eggs and bacon and sauce. And it's like that could actually be more than your slice of pizza depending on the macros of what's
Yeah.
in there. And so I didn't understand that. And so I think the fact that I was trying to eat healthy and then I would also like on the weekends go binge eat at like Culver's and then drink with friends and then think that that was okay too because I was enjoying myself in college. It wasn't like a real like I wasn't educated. And I think I remember the moment that I decided to inquire with you. I realized that I thought that asking for help would be like a shortcut or cheating.
Mm.
Like I thought there was like a sense of pride in me that didn't want to admit that I couldn't do it by myself. And I think being someone who was so active in college and so I don't want to say like, oh, I was like star student in college, but like I was very, very studious. And so I thought to myself, well, I could do all this stuff by myself. Like I don't need help. But I think there was a moment where I think I was just looking at your Instagram and I was looking at whatever transformations you had, and I was just like, wow, like maybe I should just ask for help. And you know what? Like if I end up learning what I need to learn and thinking I can do this by myself, I can always just leave. Like I could always just go and work with her for a few months, get all the information I need from her and work by myself. Obviously I
Exactly.
didn't, but it's like I had to put my ego aside and say, you can't, like it's okay to not be able to do everything by yourself. You can ask for help and it's not cheating. It's not a shortcut. You're still putting in the work. So I think that was the shift.
Yeah, that's so powerful because I think I've never thought of it that way. However, when I hired a coach for the first time, I thought the same thing. I was just like, man, they know something that I don't. And it was nutrition, like training. I was like, you know what? I was like, training, I feel like I train hard. And weirdly enough, then you get trained by somebody who, designs your training for division. You're like, man, I didn't know anything. But
Yeah,
I think that nutrition, it's kind of hard for people to understand and it takes practice. And so that's where it's having meal plans, but also just somebody that you can ask these questions. And no question's stupid, but it's just like,
yeah,
oh, why is for this many calories, but the macros say that. And like the math and the design of the nutrition labels, like having someone to direct those questions to, that's not like just a computer or Google that are always wrong,
yeah,
it's saying different answers. It can just be nice to have that source of like just someone who's on your side and here to answer your
yeah.
questions.
Well, and even to like double down on that, you could ask anybody for any sort of like general guidance.
Yeah.
But I think like having someone who's specifically looking at you and your situation, they're going to be able to give you an answer that's personalized to you. And
Mm.
I didn't like see that value until I started working with you. And I realized like, oh, this is for me. This is not for someone who's trying to lose 50 pounds. This is for someone who has a lot of weight to lose and has a lot of time ahead of her to do this. And so she's thinking about like my full plan. It's not just like, hey, Google, hey, ChatGPT, like, how do I lose weight? Here's what you should generally do. You
Yeah.
could follow that and be successful, but like having someone who's like, let me tell you exactly why this is going to work for you and your long-term goal, it adds that extra layer that I think I was missing out on for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the thing too, is definitely keeping in mind. the time blocks of things is once you start involving kind of a computer and all of that, it's hard to understand, you know, real life and a real person and trips and vacations and refeeds and timelines. And I think,
Hmm.
mainly in our approach, taking things slow and allowing your mind to adjust, your body to adjust, but we're
Yeah.
creating a whole new life. Like, and that's the thing is like, yes, you could plug and chug into chat and be like, write me a meal plan, but that's not all it is. We're changing
No.
our whole routine. We're changing when we wake up, when we go to sleep, our meal timing, how many meals we have a day, how much water,
Yeah.
our food sources. Like there's
Yeah.
so much you were changing to be a whole new human being on the other end. Because I think some people don't think of it like that. I want to lose 100 pounds, but they don't see the person that's 100 pounds lighter is a totally different person with a different routine, different habits, different
Yeah.
lifestyle. And it's like, are they
Yeah.
ready for that change?
That reminds me, like I remember the only way that I could get through, like if you think about my journey, there were like waves of up and down, and like we it wasn't linear by any means. And anytime I had that dip, like let's just say, for example, you know about this vacation, but my vacation in France that I had in like November, I went off the rails a bit, okay? We both know that I went off the rails a little bit, but I learned so much out of it because I had your guidance. You helped me through. I was like mentally like, damn, I suck. I'm not cut out for this shit. Like, oh my God, I thought I did this, but damn, this is hard.
Yeah.
And I realized through that experience that it was just, I just had to learn why I did what I did and keep going. And you gave me that guidance. And even like before the trip too, like you were able to give me like, here's how I recommend you approach this trip. And like that's not something you're gonna get from the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's something too, is a lot of it's mental and building up that mental fortitude with it all. But having the support, like that, like the support in the hard weeks, because that's the thing is like, it's not, I mean, vacation for sure. Like being mindful, enjoying, people expect to come back a little heavy, but I think it's the weeks where it's like, man, things have stalled for 3 weeks. Like, why are things not moving? Well, sometimes it's not that you're doing something wrong.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's really repetition. And I think it's those weeks that it's like where things are stalling and we're not maybe seeing these fast, mainly for, this is a good example though, for a 100-pound weight loss, there will be weeks things stall. If we're trying to lose 10
Mhm.
pounds in, 15 weeks or whatever, losing a half a pound a week, you might see it super exact, super gradual and exact line, but you can't
Mhm.
expect that from a large weight loss. Like, I mean,
No.
a body is not, and I tell people this all the time, but our bodies aren't machines, it's the inputs and the outputs are direct result to other things like fatigue and inflammation or hormones, in our menstrual cycle. So I think that's something too, is like having that support during those hard weeks. But I think that's
Yeah.
so powerful. Okay, let's move on then. I know another question we were kind of talking about is, how did it help you realize this journey and about yourself and about bodybuilding? I think that's something that's so powerful because I think it's something you're so passionate about now, which is crazy. But how has this journey and this kind of weight loss in general, I guess, impacted that and finding something that I feel like is a big part of your life now, your friend groups and just everything?
Oh my gosh. I think honestly, like I always thought bodybuilding was cool. I just thought it was something that I would never touch because I was just so far away from it. And I thought, okay, I have this coach. She works with people who, one, look amazing. Two,
Yeah.
are like the competitive baddies that I would want to be one day. And again, like I didn't think it was possible. I just thought lose the weight first and then we'll get there. But I did think about like if I want to be a bodybuilder by the end of this journey, or if I want to start being a bodybuilder by the time I lose all this weight, like how would she act?
Yeah.
And like what does she look like? What is the type of stuff that she does in her everyday life? And so like can I share a little bit of my I won't share like exact protocol, but I
Good.
can share. Okay.
It's
So
honest.
there
No
like
one can
I
follow this, let's be honest. It's not gonna like
true.
they
Okay.
can't they
So,
can't get the same results by just 1, 2 weeks of your protocol.
okay. Well, there was like I think it was probably like an 8 month stretch where I was like 5 times a week, 35 minutes of cardio, moderate intensity, right? And I remember there were so many mornings where I'd wake up and I'd be like, fuck, I don't want to do this. But then I think like, okay, yes, I'm trying to lose weight here, but in like a year and a half, a year from now, if I want to be a bodybuilder, how would she wake up this morning and how would she feel right now about this? Would she think, ah, shit, I gotta go do cardio again? Maybe, but she'd go do it.
Yeah.
She wouldn't think twice about it because she has a goal in mind. She wants to step on stage.
Mhm.
And I just kept giving myself like that pressure of like, if you really want to do this, if you really think that there's like a slight chance you can achieve this, and this is not in a negative way by any means, but it was like, if you really think that you can, prove it,
Yeah.
act like it. And so, like, I know we've had this conversation before. If I want to have a pro physique one day, I got to start acting like it. And so back then, the approach that I would have is okay, well, if you want to show up to the gym and feel like a bodybuilder, go say hi to your bodybuilder friends and then go to a posing event after. Um, like, how would that version of you act? And so when I was 200 pounds and had to wake up at 5 in the morning to go do cardio before work, I would think, okay, well, she would just do it, get it done, go to work, and then lift after. So I just started giving myself like the idea of the vision more and more. And then I just started to become it because, you know, you are what you envision and what your action, when your actions follow your vision, then you become that. And so whether it was with doing cardio or with, you know, limiting my artificial sweeteners, that was one thing that I was over consuming for a while.
Yeah.
But things like that where like I just thought, okay, well what would she do? Would she go to the posing event at 190 pounds and think about like her physique and how to pose? Probably. She would go and she wouldn't care because she wants to get feedback. And so like I didn't really care about how I looked in the present because I just stayed so focused on what I wanted to do one day. And then it just started coming in. Like I started going to a bodybuilding gym because I thought, okay, if I want to bodybuild, like I should probably go to one of those. And then same thing, like when they had events, I'd go to the events. When people at work were like, oh, would you want to go do pickleball or would you want to go do this after? Like I'd do that. And then the same thing happened when I had negative pressure on indulging in my negative habits. Like if someone was like, hey, do you want to go out Friday night and have a good time? I'd be like, you know what? I have to lift on Saturday and I have to do it in the morning. And I know I'm going to feel like shit after. So, like, I'll pass, but have a great time. Or sometimes maybe I would go and I just wouldn't drink. And I think, like, thinking about the vision and what those actions would be under that vision helped me achieve not just my goal, but achieve the lifestyle and build that lifestyle so that when I did get to a point where it was just second nature and actually my lifestyle, it was like, I think I can do this. Yeah, I could compete one day. And then I told you.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were envisioning way before it was even something that was like actually like voiced, you know? And I think that's something that's so
Mm-hmm.
powerful is you truly, I mean, I know you talked about like your optimism, but you truly saw and believed in a vision before we even really started getting close to it. And I think that's so powerful. You're saying you're 200 pounds, 190 pounds. I mean, you're like 50 pounds down from there, you know, and being able to be like, hey, I can see that whole time, of course, we were still lifting, we
Mm-hmm.
were still training heavy, training like a
Yeah.
bodybuilder, hitting PRs. So this entire time, although we had these external goals of losing body fat, getting you healthier, we started
Mm-hmm.
building this routine and this foundation that it's like, okay, we're going to start building the look for stage. I think
Yeah.
that's what's so exciting.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I'll be honest, like, I did struggle for a very long time, like,
Yeah.
identity wise. Like, I felt like I was following the plan of being one,
Yeah.
a bodybuilder, but I just didn't look like it. And I think, like, that was certainly hard for me because,
Yeah.
like, I had friends and they were very supportive, but it wasn't like I felt like I was like them, you know, in a way. Like I just, for example, like I won't name the friend, but she had her lifting belt and I had this is literally like a few weeks ago. She had her lifting belt. I forgot mine and I was like, ah shit, I forgot my belt. She's like, you can use mine. And I was just like, no, I can't. That won't fit. And she was like, yes, it will. And I tried it on and it fit. But like sometimes in my head, I sometimes struggle because it's like I never really thought I looked the way that I was trying to manifest myself to look. And so even now, sometimes I'm just like, oh shit, like, no, I am her. I am her. And I will continue to grow into who I want to become um, because I'm performing those actions. And it doesn't matter how you feel about your look now because you'll get there.
Yeah.
So I think that it's important to remember the vision, but also to appreciate your current state, and it's okay to be like slightly uncomfortable every now and then.
Yeah, yeah. Believing truly that you are taking the steps to get to that end result. And that
Mhm.
it really taught you some patience, that's for sure.
Oh,
The sport is all about patience, but that's something I feel like it took so much effort in the short term, but I
mhm.
mean, you're saying you're obviously still getting used to even the body, feeling like a bodybuilder now, but you're worlds, you're so, you are a bodybuilder and looking everybody around you, like I think that's so cool to see though, is just like how far you've come. But yeah, that's my question. Like, was there a point where you were like, oh, you realized your life had changed? You realized like, hey, I am a bodybuilder. Like, was it when you asked, brought up that you wanted to be a bodybuilder, or was it after that? Like, when
No,
like things had really like made a turning point?
I think there's two turning points. There was a point where I realized I created the lifestyle, and then there was the point where I realized I was a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Honestly, like looking back, the time that I realized my life had changed was also when I started to become a bodybuilder, but I just didn't believe it then. And that was when I hit my 1 year mark. That was like 90, like just under 100 pounds. And I remember I walked into, so I went to some cycle classes as well for my cardio. And I remember I had so many friends at this studio who I celebrated with, and they looked at me with so much love and support and like, ah, I'm getting emotional. Okay. Um okay. I just remember the moment where I'm going to cry, whatever. Where I was just surrounded by so many people who not only cared about me and my health, but were so inspiring in their own health, and not just them, but also like the forged community. Like when I hit that milestone, it was just like an abundance of love and an abundance of support. And to be surrounded by people who saw me as the person that I wanted to become, it made me realize that I had already changed my life. Like I was going to these classes, I had my bodybuilding community, I was doing all of the actions, and I realized like holy shit, like I'm the girl I wrote about in my journal a year ago. And I think like hitting that milestone was just like such a big reflective moment that I actually like, stopped and thought like holy shit, like it didn't hit me until that year. Like I wasn't giving myself a chance to think or reflect. And so when I hit that mark, I was in shock, and sometimes I'm still in shock when I look back and realize like I changed everything about my life. Like not just my habits of like I stopped drinking every other weekend or every weekend to the point of blacking out. Sorry, I'm going to be honest. And I didn't care for junk food anymore. I wanted to look for activity. Like I wanted to go rock climbing with friends. I wanted to go to the lake and just go paddleboarding or kayaking. I was like searching for activity and experiencing life. And I realized when I hit that mark and was celebrated by so much support in people that I had that community and I had that lifestyle. And that was like I can't even like put it into words. And I think that moment was when I was like, holy shit, like I can be a bodybuilder. I can do this. And so I went through my reverse and I really committed to it because I thought, okay, this nailing this reverse is like nailing a reverse after prep. Like it can really change your physique. And I want to take this seriously. And so to the best of my ability, I followed plan. And now I think like honestly, it wasn't until like this past month where I was like, hey, I kind of like, do I have delts? Like, wait, there's something there.
Mm.
And now, like, it's just people even will come up to me at the gym and be like, "Oh, do you compete? Are you gonna have you competed before?" And sometimes I look at them like, "Give me some time, bro. We
Yeah.
got a lot of growth." But it's just like hearing that feedback now. I'm starting to see like, "Oh no, I'm a bot. Like, I'm doing the thing. Like, even though for the longest time I didn't see myself as one, I'm doing it." I think that's also like part of bodybuilding is you ever feel like you look like the physique that you want, but you still have the physique of one bodybuilder. And so, yeah, it's something I'm still like adjusting to now, but that's my very long-winded answer of saying that I think the 1 year mark was when I truly felt a shift in my life.
Yeah. That's so, so powerful. And I think the thing is too, that reverse diet, it's like, because at the end, I mean, the cutting phase, we were, was it 80 or 90? It was like 90 pounds of that
Yeah.
was in the cut. The last 10
Mhm.
pounds, we've still lost weight in that reverse diet, right? And made a lot of
Yeah.
progress. And I think I think that I I see so much confidence in you because you number one had more energy, you felt stronger in the gym, which
Yeah.
still makes scars, right? So that aspect, when people are no longer when when you're no longer depleted after cutting for such a long
Mhm.
period of time, and then you're like, man, like at the end of this, I'm gonna be able to maintain, which you are now in this growing season. Gonna be able to maintain this fat loss, but also be at like 300 carb. Like that's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
It's now
It's
I
so
that
crazy,
whole thing
Georgia.
you're talking about, like the good and bad. Like you eat foods that you probably would have used to distinguish as like a bad food, and you still are able to maintain this healthy lifestyle. I think that's so cool. It's the balance of all of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Your
it's
little
beautiful.
Pop-Tart bowls is a good example.
I know. I was gonna say, like, I think about how I don't remember the last time I've ever had a Pop Tart. Like since starting this journey, I don't remember when I ever had a Pop Tart before. And I remember I was walking through the grocery store with my friend, and I was like, "Girl, I'm at 290 or two. I think at the time I was at like 270 or 280 carb on leg days, and I was like, this is a lot of carbs. Like we need to figure something out." And she was like, "Well, let's just walk through the aisles." And I saw the Pop Tarts, and I was like, "Maddie, Pop Tarts." And she goes, "How much is in it?" And I was like, "Well, okay, two Pop Tarts is 76. I could probably get away with one, but I also have flex calories, so I think I can make this work." And now it's like, it's my little leg day treat.
Yeah, no, I think that's such an exciting part, I think, of a journey like that, ending such a huge monumental goal and achieving that, and then being able to realize like, oh, with intentional focus in something like a reverse diet, I'm going to be able to maintain all this work that I did, right? And that's how
Mhm.
we don't yo-yo and we get back into these old habits is like making the intentional change to make sure we're able to raise our food back up and raise that cardio back down. Uh,
Yeah.
it's so
I was
powerful.
very, very intentional on following that reverse. I was like,
It's so
if
good. Yeah.
if I want to keep this physique that I worked so damn hard for, you better follow it. And it's okay if you're a little hungry because you know what? She's probably going to increase food again. And then you would. So,
Confidence in that. Confident Georgia will keep raising food.
no, you know what? Like, honestly, in the beginning, I was just like, you need to have blind faith in this woman. You don't know her, but you'll get to know her and you're going to build trust very fast. And it was easy to build trust with you. It was easy. Like, it wasn't even an effort.
It was so sweet. Well, it's been the best journey ever. And I think that's something too is, I mean, even being a part of like the community, I feel like so many people, number one, look up to you in your journey now, which is so, so crazy because I think you started right before Forge started, pretty well, Forge started in
Mm-hmm.
March. So you started like kind of the winter before. So you've been able to
Mm-hmm.
see the full journey of kind of the Forge community and be like a foundational member.
Yeah.
So people have been so inspired by your journey. Um, and I know you obviously love all of them and are so inspired by their journeys too, but I think it's
Yeah.
so exciting that everybody's journey is so different. And I think yours is so unique in the sense of finding yourself, finding your confidence. And I think that's just so powerful. Like, I don't know. A lot of people see these people, like you're saying, on social media, and they just see that kind of end result that they're at. So being able to
Mm-hmm.
see and see your post and see what you're doing and be like, she started at somewhere where a lot of people might be at, where they're wanting to get to stage, and that seems something that like is very impossible to them. So I guess that's a question too, is like, what would you say to somebody else, any motivation or something like that, that maybe either a big weight loss is their goal or stage, and it's quite far from where they are right now? Do you have any tips for them if they feel stuck?
Yeah. I, I don't want to project,
Yeah.
but the question that I would want you to ask yourself is, what is stopping you from getting there? Like, I have this thing, my family knows. I always say, like, you got to dream big dreams, right? And I have this vision that, like, nothing is impossible if you truly believe you can do it. And so, if you have some sort of dream or some sort of goal, maybe you want to step to stage one day and you're just you recognize that you're very far from it. What's stopping you? For me, I had to lose a lot of weight. And so I understood that and said, okay, well, how can I lose weight? I can try it myself. Tried it, didn't really work. And then I thought again, okay, what is stopping me from losing weight? Why can't I lose weight? Okay, I need some guidance. I need some help. But I don't want to ask for help. Why don't I want to ask for help? What's stopping me from asking for help? Oh, I think that it's cheating. I think that I want to have the pride of saying that I did it myself. Okay, well, is that really worth it from holding you to lose your weight and then getting to a point where you could potentially compete? And then just like going down that like why rabbit hole of like what is actually stopping me from achieving that big dream and taking the steps to get there and then seeing those and truly like reflecting and recognizing why not. Because I think that like sometimes we just think, oh God, like this is just so far away, whatever. But it's like at the same time, why not? There's no timeline. I remember my mom asked me, like, oh, you're into bodybuilding now? Like, what's that about? And I was like, yeah. She's like, you gonna step on a stage sometime? I think my sister might have asked me too, like, you gonna step on stage in 26? And I was like, hell no. She was like, okay, when are you going to? 27? And I was like, it doesn't matter. I know that I'll achieve it one day, but like the point is that I'm gonna get there one day. I'm gonna do it the right way. So like just having that like dream and saying, okay, it's gonna happen, but like what's stopping me from getting there? Is there anything? Now there's nothing stopping me. I'm going, you know? But
Yeah.
like back then it was like what's stopping me? It was my ego. It was the fact that I had to lose 100 pounds. It was my unhealthy habits. And so in that process, I learned these are all the things stopping me from getting there. How do I get rid of them?
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Seeing it as
Mm-hmm.
a problem to solve. I
Yeah.
think that a lot of people think it's too far out of reach, that they don't like to start thinking intrinsically of like, what am I doing wrong? Because sometimes it's nice to just not think about it. So I think that's something that's so powerful for you is you're willing to see, okay, how can I be better? You know, and maybe at
Mm-hmm.
that point you wanted to do it on your own, but you still were self-assessing where your downfalls were and how you could bring better to bring change. And I think that that's something that makes you a good bodybuilder is like, okay, I'm willing to communicate and be honest about where my downfalls are, where I do mess up, where things do go astray. And it's like, how can we get back on track and also better? And if that does happen again, that feeling, that circumstance, how can I circumvent that?
Mm-hmm. And I think that that comes from the learning mindset. And honestly, like I, I really have you and Forged to thank for that. Like I think that, and I know that you had one of these questions. I don't even remember where it is at anymore, but I just remember like thinking about any time I had a downfall or a mistake in any sort of way. It wasn't like you guys responded in a way of like, oh, it's okay, Nini. It was like, this happened, but like, why did it happen? Let's think about what exactly caused that. And it really helped shift my mindset of like, bad mistake, don't do again, to why did you make that mistake? What compelled you to go and eat a double cheeseburger with cheese curds and a custard at the end of the night? Like what exactly compelled you to do that? How did you feel? Like, I'm not going to out anybody on the team, but they know who they are. Like, I would talk to certain girls and be like, why do I want to do this? And they'd be like, it's because of your hormones, or it's because of the fact that you've built this habit, or because whatever it is. But I've had that community and I had you, and you guys helped me shift the mindset of this is not like a bad thing that you need to just like avoid and say, okay, just don't do it again. It is a moment to reflect and learn about yourself so that you can not only come back stronger, but be able to make better learning habits about yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Learning mindset.
That's still so sweet. Like, I think that's something how interconnected everybody is in the community and how open and honest. And there's a lot of like honesty, honest, like in the group chat and people asking questions and asking for support.
Hmm.
It's very rare. Like even for me, I'm still shocked by it some days. Like thinking it's only been a year, like truly of this community. So it's so cool how like even you being able to have people from like a coaching community that's not local, you met
Yeah.
through the internet, being able to meet with
Yeah.
them and see them, talk with them about struggles that you're having. That is just so powerful. Like that's just so, so cool.
You built that shit, Georgia.
So
That group
a
chat has
lot of y'all
exploded.
though, like I mean, yes, for sure. Like the name, the logo, like we really did that. But I think that it's something where it's like, being all women, being, of course, all of us. I mean, it starts with obviously the coaches as well. And we want to enact that on y'all that it's like honesty, communication, being open and asking for support. And I feel like that cultivates that feeling and like amongst each other too, because how you
Yeah.
want your clients to feel to me, like I don't want them to be lying to me, but I also like I don't want them, like you said, coming to me and thinking that my answer is going to be, well, you messed up, like you're wrong, you and slap on the wrist because that's not a coach. A coach is not like a reprimanding, your coach is obviously like there's seasons where in prep, like don't do that again, like whatever, but we're not here to like beat you down. A coach is somebody that's here to actually help you grow and coach you to be better and coach you to make that routine better. And I think that
Yeah.
having a community like that amongst like the coaches makes it so y'all have been so interconnected, which I love. But yeah, so powerful. I'm so thankful for it.
I am too. I think about it all the time too when I first started and people were like, "What's your Instagram?" What's like, everyone's like getting each
That's a
other.
message once a week in the group chat.
I
Whenever.
was gonna send the weekly message of what's everyone's Instagram, where are you from? But I think that it's so important because then you meet these people and you can build such genuine
Yeah.
relationships. Like I remember talking to Caroline for the first time. Shout out Caroline. And I remember like our
Every
first few
Saturday.
conversations, I was just like, I really like her. And then when I met her at the first Forge retreat in October, that was like, I think maybe 6 months after we had started talking. And I felt like I already knew her. Like I saw her and was like, oh, Caroline, what's up? And then we were just immediately, we're just like, and it's crazy, like the types of relationships you could build just because you're being open and you're being honest and you have some sort of shared experience, you know?
Yeah, no, that's so powerful. So, now on that too, what is something that you would tell yourself if it were day one again? Because I feel like a lot of these things were mindsets you had, and and it
Mhm.
just took repetition and continuing to fail and then get back up. But what was something that you would tell yourself that you think that you would need to hear on kind of your day one of this whole journey?
This is a hard one. And I think this might be like a very basic answer, but like this is so much more than weight loss, is
Yeah.
what I would say. I think that, like, yes, I was focused on the health aspect of losing weight, but it was still weight loss.
Mhm.
And I have learned so much about myself in this process. Like I've talked about my dependency on consumption of both food and alcohol, and like that was something that I didn't even think was a problem when I started. I just thought like, yeah, I just need to like drink a little less, eat a little less, it'll be fine. But like I learned so much about myself. I broke up with my ex who I was dating for years. I learned that I wasn't being loved in the way that I wanted to be loved by my community because I started going to help healthy communities like the gym or like a cycle studio. I didn't realize that through this journey, I would meet people that would literally change my life. And I think like in the beginning it was just I'm just doing this for health. I'm just doing this for health. But this was so much more than health. And I think if I had told myself like this is so much more than just weight loss, I probably would have approached it differently too. I probably wouldn't have went out every weekend for the first 3 months. I don't remember what it was, but I just remember you'd be like, anything that you did this last week that wasn't great. And I'd be like, I had a few shots of alcohol.
And there's never judgment, but
No, I know there was never judgment, but okay, this is another thing. I felt so shameful in telling you that I had drank again for like the second week in a row that like I realized like why do I feel embarrassed of like why am I embarrassed telling her? Why? I should be honest, but why do I feel embarrassed? Is it a problem that I'm drinking? Could it be a problem that I'm drinking? Wait, maybe I should just stop so that I stop feeling embarrassed. And then I stopped and realized, oh, wait, I feel better without it. And
Yeah.
then I started thinking a little bit more. And I think like it wasn't a problem in the beginning or like the relationships that I was having at the time. Like I didn't think those were problems in the beginning until I started saying no to things and realizing, wait, this isn't the life that I should be having. And so I think like if I had started in the beginning to know that this was way more than just losing weight, um, which is already huge in itself, I think I would have approached it differently.
Yeah. Yeah. So last kind of question, then we'll finish up here. But what is the biggest thing then that this whole journey has taught you that you would, like to share?
Ah, I will try not to cry again. We kind of were touching on it earlier, but how to truly love and respect myself.
Yeah.
I think um I didn't before. Like I was confident in myself and I was confident in how I acted, but it wasn't as genuine as it is now. Like I've made so many promises to myself that I've been able to keep. And some of those promises are just you're going to sleep for 8 hours tonight and I'd sleep for 8 hours. Other promises are you're not going to let a man treat you like that again. And like those are making promises to yourself and actually keeping them builds confidence. And I think that that confidence that I built for myself also taught me how to respect myself, respect my body, respect the vessel that I've been given because it's the only body I have.
Wow. That's so powerful. So
Dear,
powerful. I
like,
love it. I love it.
but
Your
on
journey
that
is so
note,
inspiring. You're so inspiring. I don't think you understand. Like your optimism is something that's so unique. It's so, so unique. So thank you for sharing. Obviously, we'll talk here in a second, but that way we can end the like recording option. Hopefully this actually saves. I'm so fearful.
well,
But
thanks
thank
for
you.
asking me all these questions and thinking of me. I'm so humbled.
Okay, let me end this here real quick.